Welcome into another edition of the Bully the Board NFL board meeting. It is the midway point of the season. Shit's crazy already. Can not even believe it. We got a lot to get into and break down. Let's not waste any time.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today, not today.
Okay, I realize I already screwed that up because it's not halfway through the NFL season. It's halfway through the college season. I'm getting my wires twisted. But
hey,
y'all just,
we're here
y'all
for it,
say
baby.
shit.
We're halftime. We're all the way time. We're quarter time. It don't matter. We're game time. We're game time.
It feels good. We're game time. It's game time. It's ready to roll, man. It doesn't matter at this point. But through 6 weeks of the season, heading into week 7, approaching the halfway mark, got a couple more weeks, right? But we're continuing to see contenders and pretenders separate themselves. One big takeaway, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this later in the discussion, is that from a 30,000 foot fan perspective, I am less engaged in the NFL, broadly speaking, than I have been in years past, and I want to dive into that a little bit as we get into the discussion. So before all that, though, let's do what we usually do, baby. Let's break down our efficiency landscape matchup maps of the teams through week 6 here. So again, Seth, a lot of interesting movement from this past weekend. But what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of NFL through 6 weeks?
Yeah, we're learning who the Lions are, and they may be really, really good. Still kind of beating the drum about the Chiefs. This Chiefs team is winning very, very interestingly. And I think that's through their defense, which is a new kind of phenomenon. And maybe if they can, get their offense going. And then the Rams, man, they keep covering for us. And I got a little bit of a take we'll get into a little bit later. But, man, are we undervaluing this team for the Super Bowl? I don't know. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint. And then I can't say how much I feel like I missed the mark on Mac Jones and the New England team. Like I think I've gone on the record saying, are we sure about Mac Jones? We have 1 year of data that's good, 1 year of bad. But I think we really, really, or I'll speak for myself, I really, really weighted the good year a little bit too much because, yes, it's not completely on him, but he's making some pretty hardcore mistakes out there. So those are interesting for me.
Steve, how about you?
Yeah. Look, for me, my biggest takeaway this year is the Dolphins look like a historically good team. I mean, this offense, they were down 14. We were like, oh man, that bet of -13.5, that thing's dead in the water, and they just came like a man unleashed. And so I'm pretty excited about the Dolphins' future. And I got to say, I'm equally as excited, but also bummed out. Our Texans team went on a ticket. That thing is dead. That thing is dead in the water, man. Under 6.5. Houston looks to be doing really well. And CJ Stroud looks to be doing really well, despite their best efforts to suck, right? But despite all the instability going on, I don't know how they're doing it. That this team is definitely exceeding expectations. And we'll see what turns out to them.
Yeah.
And Steve, I was going to say, you've got to be like really super stoked for the 2024 Chicago Bears, right?
Oh,
God, Carolina Panthers defeated so far, haven't won a game. Bears 1-5, right? Both firmly in the quadrant of woe. Things obviously aren't good right now, but dude, things are looking up next year.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to say you right now, because, when's the NFL 2024 draft, right? Because I'm telling you, I'm telling you right now, yeah, the NFL 2024 draft, that is going to be the best.
I think it's in Vegas.
Even better. That's going to be the best 2 weeks of Bears fans' lifetime. And so we inevitably shut the bed and ruin it. So listen, the week before the draft is going to be amazing. The week after the draft is going to be amazing, and then the Bears are going to suck, and all will be normal. That's what we do best, baby.
I think I said a couple weeks ago, I'm a little jealous of you in that respect as a Cards fan, because I thought I was going to be in your shoes at this point in the season, with the Texans sucking and the Cardinals sucking, and I'm only halfway there. But you got like best of both worlds right now. So
can I just say real quick though? I say this all the time. the people when we drafted Mitch Trubisky, right? We had a chance to draft Patrick Mahomes instead, and everyone says, "Oh, what things could have been if the Bears had Mahomes?" But Patrick Mahomes would not be the great quarterback that you all know and love today if he were drafted by the Bears. We would have ruined that man into oblivion. NFL fans, you're welcome. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, you get some credit for that.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter if we get Caleb Williams or anybody else. We'll ruin them.
So what is you? So you got to get new coaches. What is the like? Because it's a coaching thing, right? It's like the owner isn't in there like teaching them what to do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. You would have Virginia McCaskey, up there, with their can oxygen tanks, trying to, call schemes. Yeah, here's
throw the damn ball.
Yeah, you talk about the curse of the Billy Goat, right? You talk about the great Bambino curse. You talk about all these things in sports. Ever since we fired Lovie Smith, who led us to our Super Bowl appearance, who had a winning record through and through his entire tenure. Ever since we fired him, we have been absolute ass here. So I know he's not dead, but it's the proverbial ghost of Lovie Smith. And you know what? We deserve it. We do. We should have never let that man go. And until we bring him back, the Bears will continue to suck. You heard it here first.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you completely mentally, but yeah, I had to bring it up. So, but real quick, a couple of other ones for me that stick out. So similar to your thoughts on the Patriots, Seth, for different reasons, but the Broncos and the Browns, the Broncos, not the Browns. We talked about it a little bit coming into the season. How much can you weight the Sean Payton effect? And there was a lot of people giving that a lot of credence and a lot of weight, frankly. Yeah. And not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but we talked about it, like how that effect, if real at all, there's no way it's going to take hold through the first couple weeks of the season, at least. Russell Wilson looks absolutely cooked. I did not anticipate that element of it. I mean, they're sitting generally, they're not terrible on offense. It's the defense that's really, really killing them. Yeah. Because you look at this is the defensive one, right? Yeah. So they're firmly terrible against the pass and the rush. On the defensive side of the ball.
The rumor is
and
right
average
now,
on offense.
The rumor is right now they're shopping all of their wide receivers. Like they're saying that they're all in the market. Like
fire sale pretty soon.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know if it's pretty soon. I think we're in the fire sale. Are you buying? Because I don't know. And we've talked about this in past weeks. Like Peyton is kind of communicating, at least in my opinion, that he does not like Russ. He does not want. He thinks Russ is cooked as well. He doesn't think Russ can cook. So Danger Witch is gonna go on clearance here because I don't know. That's very interesting. So I'm with you there on that team. So what's your take on the Browns though?
I was gonna say so. To the opposite extreme, their defense is holding them together. The Deshaun Watson effect has been one of the more surprising developments for me personally. Maybe for you, I don't know. Maybe not for you guys too, but. Did I think there was a decent likelihood he would regain some of his Texans form? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. With that offensive line, with those cast of characters, Nick Chubb, Mari Cooper, etc., doesn't help. Nick Chubb's out now, and offensive line banged up a couple games. But yeah, he's looked downright bad when he's been in there. So, and now he's got this weird situation with his injury, no timeline for his return. Like it's just all kind of funky. With that
he spoke to the media today. He said it was a micro tear in his rotator cuff, and he'll get back when he gets back. That was his communication. So, but to your point, you're not alone in that. They gave him 270 million reasons why they believed he would get back to Texans form, right? I mean, you're not alone in thinking that. Yeah. And
we can see here. I'm effectively average on a per play basis, right?
Yeah.
But incredibly volatile.
Yeah.
So
and I'm telling you right now, Deshaun Watson is going to be the Ben Simmons of the NFL. This man is not going to come back the same. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. And honestly, listen. I'm low key kind of rooting for him because here's what he did. He pulled off the rabbit in the hat, right? He had a fully guaranteed contract. No one else is going to get that. Lamar tried it. He failed it, and understandably so. That man is never, no one, I don't think anyone's going to ever have another fully guaranteed contract. And I think Deshaun Watson's going to rub it in every quarterback's face. And that man is going to go out to Bora Bora or Fiji or Tahiti and just chill for the rest of the season and never play again. I think we've seen the last of Deshaun Watson.
Really? You don't think he's ever going to play again?
Who's going to sign him?
Well, that assumes that they cut him.
No. Yeah. He'll finish this year out, and it'll be done. It'll be done. I don't know. I have lost all faith in Deshaun Watson. I think we're seeing the fall off here. Listen, this could be a really legit injury, right? There could be a lot more than what we know as a public.
Sure.
But for all sides, it sounds like he got there. He had all the pressure in the world. Yeah, last year they had a really disappointing year, but he didn't get an off season. So you had an excuse. Through 3 or 4 games through this year, he has not looked good. And I think the pressure's getting to him. He has the yips, and we'll see what happens there.
Damn. I don't think he's got the yips. I think he's got a micro tear in his rotator cuff. I think that's exactly what he's got. You're over here. Okay. All right. Maybe I'm the asshole here.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't know about this. This is extreme. He's got the yips. Damn. I don't even know. Maybe
the whole team's got the yips. Because the one game, one observation was a DTR or somebody else who started that.
It was Walker last week, and then Walker. DTR played in one of the other games.
Yeah,
he either started or played. I forget.
Right. So still the majority of the data is with Deshaun Watson through the season so far, and it's not particularly close. I mean, them and your boy Mac Jones are just vying it out for who's the dog shit of the dog shit, baby. So
yeah. No, well, you got to put it into context. Hasn't he missed 2 games, and they had a bye week? They didn't play last week, or they didn't play 2 weeks ago.
They did have a bye week. That's true.
So they're kind of behind in the data thing there, but I don't know. That team is interesting. But you're right. The defense is crazy good though. So this is So you think our 9.5 futures ticket is deader than dead, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, unless PJ Walker, the GOAT, can somehow steer this team back, I don't see how this team is getting to 10 wins with Watson there. I mean, prove me wrong. I want to be wrong here. Don't get me wrong. I got skin in the game, but
spoiler alert: the model likes the Browns this week, so we're gonna have to hash this out just in a couple minutes. One team I want to talk about is the LA Rams. Yeah. Our model has been picking up on this team, and mostly the fact that this is a healthy team with Matt Stafford at the helm. This guy knows how to cover games. Our model, I think we've picked them 2 or 3 times, and we've covered every game we bet on them. Now, I got a question for you guys. I was playing around with this idea the other day, and I'm like, okay, the Rams won 2 years ago. They were insanely decimated by injury last year. We know that Stafford didn't play. Kupp was out. Like all these issues, we know why they were bad. That deflated a lot of their numbers. Now they're coming in. This team is playing, you could see, better than average offensively and right at average defensively. What is their futures ticket for a Super Bowl? Because this is a team that won just 2 years ago with a lot of these pieces, and it's at plus 10,000. I went to the unabated simulator, his shout out. I loaded in there the Massey Peabody ratings, which are currently up to date. This shows some pretty good EV on the Rams to win. Now, they're long shots, but it puts the probability for them to win the Super Bowl at 2%. The market at plus 10,000 is 1%. So you're getting double the chance. I know it's long. Walk me off the ledge. I'm putting the pieces together. Like, this is a championship team. Now, I know it's not the exact same team, but the quarterback and a lot of those weapons on offense could get that done on that side of the ball.
Yeah, interesting. Talk you up. Woo. Well, you've piqued my interest. Let me say that. I certainly don't think I can talk you off the ledge with it. Because let me peel back the curtain one more time here. So on offense, Cooper Kupp's been out for most of the season so far, right?
Yeah. He's played 2 games. 2 games.
He's played 2 games.
Yeah.
Okay. They've had incredible production from the rookie class. Puka Nacua, right?
Yeah.
Is Kyron Williams also a rookie?
Atwell. I'm not sure.
Not sure, but he's new to that team, or he's new in terms of like getting playing time or whatever. So they've been doing it. I think my point is without their full cast of characters for the season for most of the season so far.
Yeah, but couple of good last week. I mean, that looked like that's just plugging him into another weapon. Where are they at 100%. Defensively?
Defensively, I think
they're average.
That's smack dab in the middle.
They're just average.
Average, which hey, might be enough to get you to at least they're going to make the playoffs. I think we probably feel pretty confident that division, that's obviously San Francisco to lose. The NFC South with, there's going to be one team coming out of that division, right? Maybe it's the Bucks, who knows?
Whoever's,
yeah. And then, the NFC East, Eagles, Cowboys. Yeah, maybe those two are making it. So LA has as good a shot as any to contend. So that's fascinating. I wonder what their preseason odds were. I don't know if you could look back and see.
I don't know that, but I know they're currently sitting at 10,000 is the longest. And I just think we're overlooking. Now, look, this is completely the double dip methodology, right? I'm buying that ticket to sell later at a higher number, but I don't think that much has to happen. I think to your point, they make the playoffs. The book is going to price that at least a 1 or 2x because it's just too much liability. Like a team in the playoffs cannot have a plus 10,000 chance to win the Super Bowl. It's just it's just incorrect, right? So I don't know. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I mean, I'm to put it in context. Those are the same odds for Stetson Bennett to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Hey, and look, I don't know what happened there. We haven't gotten any more. I've tried to look that up every week to kind of understand what's going on with that. But hey, I'm just saying. I think it's a potential mistake, and not from a will the Rams win the Super Bowl, but a double dip methodology. Like this is
will they
more like a stock. Buy low. Buy low and then sell this high when they because they're this team, like obviously Stafford getting injured. You could say that about anybody. This team can score, and as long as they can score, they're going to be in games.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this stuff real quick. So going back to the whole Super Bowl ticket thing here, who do you think is going to finish first in the NFC? Eagles or Niners or somebody else?
I have to say the Niners.
Okay.
Because there's not
so
many defenses are going to be able to replicate what the Browns can do. It's not that many, if any other team.
Okay, so if the season ended today, right, the Rams are in the 7th seed for the playoffs. If the Niners take the number 1 seed and get the bye, then Eagles are currently number 1, right? So then you would have the Eagles playing the Rams as the first playoff game. Can the Rams pull off an upset against the Eagles? And I will say real quick before you answer, the Eagles they've looked dominant, or their schedule or the record is dominant, but they've had some suspect moments. I don't think this is an Eagles team, even though their record is as good as it was last year, that is as good as it is last year, even though they've made a bunch of improvements or drafts on the defensive side of the ball. I think this is the Eagles team that can be beat. Can you see the Rams doing that, though?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Rams played the Eagles 2 weeks ago. I mean, so we saw this game.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, the Rams were in that game, but the Eagles, they ended up pulling away. Yeah, I'm with you. They for sure could probably upset anybody but San Francisco. And even that being said, they have to play them 3 times if they see them again in the playoffs, right? That they would have to have seen them. Sure. That would be the 3rd time. So that familiarity is an angle. Like, but again, though, that's not even my play here. I'm going to sell the shit out of that ticket the minute they're the 7th seed and it's locked. Like, I just think that ticket's going to be worth 2-3x. It's just easy money. Like, I don't believe this team can win the Super Bowl. It's nowhere near the same like value as like our Dolphins ticket, where it's like that team, we're going to probably do the double dip methodology, but we're happy that we did that because that second ticket that we're going to hold on to could very easily cash. I don't know. I think that's a team that like the market is selling for some weird reason. And I just like that they won 2 years ago. This is not insane. These pieces were there and won it 2 seasons ago. Yeah. So I don't really know, but that kind of leads me to another team that is an enigma is not the right word, but we've bet on them 3 times. We've only covered once, but they're fucking good. Is the Ravens. When we bet on them, they don't cover, but this team is like doing all the right things. They just have these weird hiccups. Like, what's your guys' thoughts on that team? They look good. They have the talent. They have the pieces. Their defense is good. Lamar is good in spurts, but then like they just like, it's almost like they just like, it's the verbal meme where like they just put the stick in their own front wheel and just fall off the bike every like couple of drives.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah. If you look at who they've played, Tennessee to beat them, they lost to Pittsburgh. Yeah, they lost to Pittsburgh, which is
to a game they were dominating. They were dominating that game.
That was, of course, the week we were on them. Lamar was on them. They handled Cleveland, lost to Indy, in OT and then handled a very hobbled and weakened Bengals team in week 2 or whatever that was. So I don't know what to make of this team. I guess is to piggyback on your point here. Like, are they good? Are they not? Like, yeah, they have a good record, but they have not. They're not in the quadrant of elite for offense, but for defense they are. So I don't know if they can figure out if they can add a piece or two, maybe at the trade deadline, maybe a marquee wide receiver or somebody who can hold on to a goddamn
They're not
pass.
a piece away. They're a put it all together. Wait, Zay Jones is playing good. Odell is playing good. Like, they have the pieces. They're literally dropping touchdowns and fumbling the ball. I mean, they lost to Indy because they fumbled the ball like 3 different times. In the loss against the Steelers, there's like a 5-minute clip of like wide open wide receivers, like literally dropping the ball in the end zone. Like, to me, this isn't that they don't have the talent. They have all the talent. In fact, this is one of the most talented teams in my opinion. It's just they're just literally like stalling out. But the thing is, they're winning some games, and then they're just like in these weird, embarrassing fashions.
Yeah,
losing against the Colts, losing against the Steelers, but then they go and they have efficiency against the Browns. Like, how, like, make that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team. I agree, Seth. I think this is a team that has the talent. They have a Super Bowl contender roster as of today. Now, you can argue about the injuries. You can argue me, and now OBJ is not a big part of their offense, although he was a splashy signing, but he's been hurt, right? And he got hurt again, and he had all injuries on the defensive side of the ball. But you're right; it's about execution. This is the same team that I'm really worried about, because this is the same team we saw last year blow double-digit leads 3 times in the second half. I think a couple of times in the fourth quarter specifically, right? I mean, this was a team that was up like 21, 28 points against the Dolphins last year and then lost that game, right? Like, this is a team that you were concerned about execution. It's always been about execution with the Ravens, but they do seem to turn it on as the season goes on. So to answer your question, I'm very worried, but I still could see them contending with the Bengals for the AFC North, because this is the NFL version of blue chip ratio. Their players are just too good to not win games, even though they throw some games away.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, and this is my last team I want to get you guys' thoughts on, because I sold them up the river, and I still stand by this team is an enigma. But who the hell are the Raiders? Who are they? Yeah. They're good, they're bad, they're horrible, they're really good. Like, they're beating bad teams, but then they're like, who is this team? Like, I want so much to be like, yeah, this team is at least a good offense, but I don't know that. They
don't even know that. They're flip-flopping. Yeah, they're incredibly inconsistent. And I mean, I don't know if it was preseason or just a couple weeks into the season, you know, Devontae Adams calling out like, I need more targets, like this shit's whack, and Josh Jacobs having his contract issues, like he didn't show up till right before the season started, right? Jimmy G is now hurt. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Like, that's another weird situation.
He's already missed a game.
He's already missed a game, right? So, yeah, I'm 100%. Like, they are – you don't know what you're going to get week in and week out, or even play to play, really. So, I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Their defense is bad, but then they sack Mac Jones, or they like get a safety. Like, they're just like – Crosby's really good. It's just like this team is so confusing. And I guess, right, that's why you use a model, because like, who cares what you think?
Yeah,
it's like what you can measure. But I like – the model is going to have a tough time, because it's just like they bob and weave between when it's a good bet, when it's a bad bet. And, you know, I don't know. It'll be interesting to kind of measure this throughout the season.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think it's just we have a small sample size here. I think it's really 2 games that confuse me, right? They lost to a Steelers team they should have beat, and then they beat a Packers team that I think they should have lost, right? But I think we can all agree they should have lost to the Bills, and they did, right? They are equally as shitty as the Broncos, and that was a 1-point game. And then they beat the Patriots, who I think the Patriots are bad. They're just bad this year. So I do agree with you, Seth. I go into this, and I am very confused about this team. But I do think they're going to show us who they really are as time goes on. And that's going to be a team that is really not that good. I think they are going to suck as the years go on. It just sucks because they have teams like the Bears and the Giants they play that are probably going to boost them up, and then they're going to get absolutely slaughtered by the Chiefs and the Chargers and
Mhm.
the
Top talent.
Dolphins. So
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
But
news
they're
to your ear, they're playing the they're playing the Bears this weekend. So
I know, and we're I mean, not to tease and look ahead. The models, you know, we're on them this week, but like they're dead last in EPA per rush in the
potentially,
league.
yeah.
Yeah, they're bottom 10 in the league in overall EPA per play on the offense. So like, good thing they're playing the Bears. Exactly right.
Yeah, we'll see.
just what the doctor ordered.
With
Just
and
the
then there's
doctor order,
questions of
baby.
Justin Fields. Yeah, I mean, there's just so
I
much.
know.
There's so
All
much.
kinds of craziness. All right, let's take a look back real quick at the past weekend, week 5. Model officially went 3-1. So not to jinx it, but just calling it what it is, baby. Has the model had a losing
It's
week
had
yet?
a 50-50 weekend.
500 week, but no losing
Yeah.
weeks yet. Okay,
Not yet, no.
So another overall good week, 3-1 officially. The Browns, we talked about it leading up to the game, but that became a no play for us because of the Deshaun Watson news and everything. So that's why that's not counted. But yeah, both were. So the one that we talked about, or Steve, you mentioned it briefly at the beginning, like the Dolphins game when that kicked off, it was 14-0 in the blink of an eye, Carolina, and I'm thinking, all right, what the hell's going on? But that one covered relatively easy at the second half. So, what were you guys' thoughts on the Vikings and the Rams games, if anything?
Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean,
go Steve.
no, go ahead.
The Dolphins are really making NFL feel like college. They're putting up these 42-point spreads. Like they get down 14, you're like, no problem. They'll cover that in one half. Like we're that's a very interesting team, and I feel a little bit spoiled. Vikings.
Yeah,
all that just came down to obviously the injury, but that just got oversold, and we'll talk about it using some of the tools. So being a bottom up approach, but you want to blend that with a top down approach. Like what is the market showing you? And we thought that the 2.5 was too low, and once we saw one market maker buy that back to somebody at a market maker buy that up to 3, that was all of the kind of information we needed. That we have the model that backs us up. And we have some market information that backs it up. The 2.5 was just too much. That was an overreaction. And the market agreed with us. I think that ended up closing right at 3. So those are nice. But I don't know. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I completely echo what you said. I mean, the whole college team, that's a perfect analogy. And that's what we're getting. We're spoiled, but what a time to be alive. The Broncos, I mean, that one hurts because that one felt the most disgusting going into that, and there was definitely some weather concerns going into that game, but to see the defense finally put it together against the Chiefs of all people, who we know it's not the juggernauts of Kansas City past, but it's still a really good team. To see the defense put it together for the Broncos and the offense just spoil that opportunity, I can't imagine how this is not going to be a fire sale right now. Like you mentioned, shopping the wide receivers, and not like shopping wide receivers to upgrade, shopping the wide receivers and just moving on and starting over. Right. I think Sean Payton is actively navigating this sort of or manufacturing the situation where you're going to make it impossible for Russ to have any kind of success. And it makes me kind of wonder, is Pete Carroll the GOAT here? Is Pete Carroll the QB whisperer from what we've seen Russ drop to and what we've seen Geno ascend to? Makes me wonder. And then the last thing I would say is the Browns game. This is one of the ones where, listen, we're being fully transparent. It was on the card, and we said, no, this is not a bet because of the injury news. We're not going to try to take credit for what we didn't do. And I stick by this, though. This is a bet that I personally don't think we should have made. The San Francisco 49ers should have dominated that game, but you know what? They didn't. Because why? The Browns defense showed up, and we saw that how dominant they would be. If you're a casual fan, I do not blame you for saying, no, this is a bad data point. The Niners should have won that game, but this is why you model, right?
But winning the game and covering, I mean, they still want to cover it if they made that kick.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Sure.
They did
it. No, but my point is that, like, I still think it was a data point that the model was actually rooted in some information, right? It's just combination of injury and also I can't lie, like this was a hard one to believe going into it from an analytics standpoint. The one that you could see, and I went back and forth, Giants. I was like, is 15 too many? And I think that ended up closing at 15.5.
15.5, yeah.
Like And it was too many. And I think the thing that I ended up staying away is just, I know that I think what went into that was so many injuries for the Bills. That'll be something to keep an eye out. And, another reason to like our Fins tickets as of now.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. That was last week. This is this week, baby. So interesting slate for the model this week. So several plays here. Let's break them down a little bit, but we want to do something a little new this time around. So want to do what we're going to call a market rundown here and pull up some odd screen courtesy of Unabated here. So Steve's got the odd screen up, and so we're going to kind of talk through some of the games on the model, and how the market has fared since opening, where we are now. So where do you guys want to start? Might as well start with Thursday night game, right? So Jags and Saints.
So I just want to, that card had a lot of nuance to it. So I hope we go back because there's a shit ton of injuries this week. And so that obviously changes the numbers quite a lot. And so we've accounted for the potential matchups, but that's why I think that card just showed both Raiders and Bears. So I want to make sure we talk about that, because it is insane to bet both of them.
Right. Our board members know it's on the website. Yes. There's several caveats there with the card up. So
yes. Yeah. And our betting log reflects, okay, hey, this is a bet if this happens, but want to kind of break down those things. And so you're right, Kevin. Let's jump in. So, and I got an interesting angle here. I want to pick your guys' brains if you guys think I'm smart or you think I'm just dumb. So Jacksonville, New Orleans Saints. This is very interesting. The model does like this and puts this as a play if we get CJ Beathard to start for Jacksonville. You can see the numbers at -1.5. If Lawrence started, it puts this game at -1. There would be no edge. What the number is that it's at is what the model has, and what is the current market. The interesting play here is, and I went ahead and bet this. I grabbed the 1, and this is the logic. We have some signal, in my opinion, on what happened today. On the 53-man roster, the Jags signed a quarterback. There's no need for them to do that. They can upgrade their third quarterback. This to me is a signal that Trevor Lawrence is not going to play. He's going to be inactive, and this is them having 2 quarterbacks on their roster, because if they know he's not going to play and they don't sign a third guy to the active roster, they have 1 quarterback. So I anticipate that we're going to learn tomorrow that Trevor Lawrence does not play, and this will move to 3. How do I know that? Because it moved to 3 yesterday, because it was basically reported that Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to play. It moved back to 3, and then there was some flip-flopping reporting saying, no, he's probably going to play, and it moved back to 1. So, yeah, if you want to look at the odds there, you should, if you scroll down, you'll probably see a bunch of 3s. Yeah, see, it was 3.
Look at that.
Yeah. So, and then it went back down. And so that's all on Trevor Lawrence. So if there's no value at the 3, there's only value at the 1 or better. So I went ahead and took the 1. And this is my logic. If I'm wrong, all good. I'll be able to cash out right before the game, because it'll be at 1. It'll be 1.5. Maybe I'll take maybe a 3 or 4% loss, but I think I'll probably even be able to cash out for exactly the amount I got it at. If Trevor Lawrence does play. So that's kind of my logic here. Any thoughts on that?
No, that's a good angle. I that's interesting at the very least, because you're right. The news and the scuttlebutt and from the horse's mouth, if you will, was that, everything's rapidly improving. He's got a good shot to play. So you feel good about it. Jags fans, etc., feel good about it. But then, what do? You look behind the curtain and what's actually happening. They're making moves to, in theory, potentially preempt the fact that he's not going to be available. So,
and we saw the opposite of this play 2 weeks when it was questionable if Joe Burrow was going to start. They cut their whatever guy, moved him to the practice squad. Why? Because of this rule of what happened to Purdy in the 49ers. You get an emergency quarterback, so you don't have to waste a 53-man spot on a third quarterback. Well, on the third quarterback, because you can just have the third quarterback unless he's a second quarterback. So that was a signal then that Joe Burrow was going to start. That's why they cut him and moved the guy to the second one. To me, this is a signal that Trevor Lawrence isn't going to start, and they need to add a second quarterback to their active roster to have. So I don't know. I'm surprised. I know I'm not smart, so I'm surprised that the market isn't isn't downloading that in the same way. So anyways, that's my theory on playing the 1. And if you guys want a tail, you're going to have to grab a 1 because it won't be a play at 3. There'll be no more value.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that 100%.
Yeah, or I'll just eat shit. I mean, it's all good. I mean, that's I'm trying to use the information we have, but yeah, I think that's I'm just like I said, I'm so surprised that we're not seeing this move to at least 2, because to me that's halfway. That's hokey pokey at least a little bit. Like, will he? Won't he? All right, let's split the difference. I don't know.
All right, Steve, I'm going to switch back to the card for a sec here, and then we can go back to the screen here. So, all right, so we talked about Saints Jags. That's Thursday Night Football. So, Browns and the Colts. So our number puts that at -7. Here, Steve, I'll pull it back up for you. I think you can go. So what has the market shown in this one, Seth? Where did it open? And
so I believe it opened at 1. Today's news of Anthony Richardson getting ending 1.5. Okay. So it was released today that Anthony Richardson is going to get season-ending surgery. That confirmed what our assumption was, that Minshew would start this game. So in that number that's up there, it is that this is assuming Deshaun versus Minshew. So it'll only be a play if Deshaun's going to play. Now, the interesting thing is on that news, it moved from 1.5 to 3. So I'm surprised by that, that the market was pricing in an Anthony Richardson start. When he didn't start last week, Minshew did, and we knew he was injured. I mean, the guy was in a friggin' sling. So I'm really confused by that move. Now, all good for us because we already got closing line value because I took the 1 for the exact same reason, figuring if the news is in my direction or against me, then I'll just be able to cash out. And if it's in favor, I'm not going to be able to catch it fast enough. So it's just a better proposition to take the number. So we've already seen CLV. Again, I will probably either cash out or just bet my way out of this ticket if Deshaun doesn't play. But again, another one where it's assuming a quarterback starts. In this case, it's Deshaun starting, which he talked to the media today, and that's when he told us he had this micro tear. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. Will he? Won't he? I really don't know.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I think I blame the other AR, Aaron Rodgers, for giving everyone this warped sense of recovery time, right? I mean, these guys already walked around that Achilles tear. But yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. I'm keeping a close eye on that one too.
Can we talk about that? How is it impressive that Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball with his arm that has nothing wrong with it?
That's the media, right? They eat up whatever he does.
This is the one of the top 10 best quarterbacks of all time. You don't think he has a stronger than normal shoulder and elbow? Like, how far can Aaron Rodgers throw the ball on one leg, not with no momentum? Like, it's far. It's really, really far. The fact that we're like, he's throwing the ball, this is so impressive. Like, he didn't get shoulder surgery. He got an Achilles thing. Like, what? He's not cutting out there.
He's immunized, baby. He's immunized. He's good to go.
What the hell? Whatever. All right, I'll get off. When I'm reading this stuff, I'm like, how the hell does this make any sense? Whatever. All right, Raiders Bears. Let's talk about this one because you see the Raiders, you see the Bears both on here. And they're very different situations. So this one assumes, and man, I have to keep them all straight. I think this one assumes Jimmy G versus your boy Fields, which is pretty improbable, to be honest. Both Jimmy G and Fields left the game last week. Jimmy G is very much an enigma. He had to go get
So to clarify, Seth, the Raiders line, the -7 with the 11% EV assumes Fields and Jimmy G.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the Bears one, I think, assumes whatever your
Bagent or however you say
Tyson Bagent. Yeah.
And I believe AJ O'Connell or it's either that or Brian Hoyer, because there's three. This is the worst game. There's like 4 iterations of the game because there's like a bunch of different combinations. I believe this one is your rookie versus their rookie. I'm pretty sure that or Hoyer.
Bagent and Hoyer is that one.
Okay, that's Hoyer. So it doesn't like Hoyer as much, and that makes sense. So to be honest, this is the only one that I didn't bet. I'm not going to bet it. I think it's just too much unknown. too much noise. What is signal? What is not? And even if Jimmy G does start, like I don't know what I'm buying. Am I buying a cripple guy that almost broke his spine? I don't know what I'm getting. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take it if he ends up
yeah.
starting and Field starting, but I think
Steve,
that's 15% chance.
Let's look at the odds
Yeah.
and see where the market's moving this one, because same with you, Seth. I have stayed away from this one.
So it opened at 3.5 and it's moved to 3, and I don't know where it's gonna go.
There. It hasn't hung around much. So presumably maybe someone's waiting on
Pinnacle
some news to drop. What's going to happen? Is Jimmy G going to start or not?
Yeah.
And then
interesting. There was a 2.5. That's interesting. I didn't know it got that low. I'm not surprised by people buying up a 2.5. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know. This one is just riddled with noise. I mean, like I said, I will go ahead and take it if that improbable combination happens. Jimmy G and Justin Fields starts. Anything else, I'm not going to waste my time, or like I'm just going to believe what the model tells me. Anything else is pretty much no signal or a lot of noise.
Yeah. Now I want to say Tyson Bagent is the boy wonder. This dude is the absolute truth, and he's the best third string quarterback in the league. Now second string quarterback, now potentially starter. Now, and I'm basing this all off of 45 minutes of preseason action, and let's not forget he did lead the NCAA. He has the record for most passing touchdowns in college history. So with that being said, I am absolutely fading the Bears, and I'm expecting them to score 7 points.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the model doesn't disagree with you here, but it's just such a specific thing. And then it's just hard.
No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. I'm staying away from this game. Fully.
Yeah.
Let's save the best for last, if you don't mind. Let's go to Seahawks then real quick. Seahawks against the Cardinals. So our numbers at -10. Opening was at 8.5.
Yeah. This moved to 7.5 and 8 respectively. And it's basically been hovering around there. So it's at 7.
No material news. The only thing that I can think
circa
of
at 7 now, or it's at 7. So that's now moved to 7. It was at 7.5.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the only thing from the Cardinals perspective, I don't know what's going on with the Seahawks, but they're going to probably get Budda Baker back this week.
Okay. But you're still Connor
activated
is
off
out.
PUP, but he's not. He just got activated off, but he's not coming back this week. It's too soon. So yeah, I don't know if the Budda news alone is something, and maybe what else compounding with what something might be going on with the Seahawks side, but
there's nothing I can see on that team, and I don't know why this is why the Cardinals are getting they're getting bought right now at all. But I mean, we'll see how this pans out. This is one I'm not afraid of until it moves through the 7. I don't think it's that big of a move. No. I mean, well, yeah, especially if it moves through the 7 later in the week. I would not be surprised here if we see later in the week this thing gets bought back up. The interesting thing you're seeing here is Pinnacle has not moved off that 8.5, so they're taking action now. I think it is juiced on their 8.5, right? It's minus.
It is 121, and then minus 805, plus 108.
Yeah, so plus 108. So they're taking money on the Cardinals, and they're clearly saying, hey, please put money on the Seahawks, but not enough to actually move the number. So I think it'll take a big move here late in the week to do that, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, from what I can tell, both Seahawks are healthy, and I don't know why this would be a time to buy the Cardinals. I mean, they're pretty banged up, and they were hyped, and they're just kind of now coming down to earth in the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, they're regressive to who we thought they were going to be preseason, which is not a good team, frankly.
Yeah, and I think, and if I'm not mistaken, the Seahawks are getting back a number of people on defense in the secondary specifically, because they've been
Jamal Adams coming back.
Yeah, so I'm confused a little bit about that, but we're still at Wednesday, right? We got a whole week to go, like before the real big moves happen. So I'm not really shaking in my boots too much.
Yeah, fair. Okay, all right. And last but not least, the marquee matchup of the weekend for sure: Sunday Night Football to boot. Eagles minus 2.5 opening against the big bad fins up Dolphins. So our number puts that at -5. It's still hanging around at 2.5. I think you could have gotten a 2 for a split second, but
no. Yeah, this moved down to 1, and it was there for a full day. Yeah, it was there for a full day. and it only moved back to the 2.5 today, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is good. This is good. This is early money on the Dolphins, and then later more mature money. Although we're not later, so Wednesday money on Eagles. I think this is going to be a good game. You can get that number 2.5. I think that's where the value really lies. You can win by a field goal. What's our model put this at? A touchdown?
5.
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah. So I mentioned it. I think I teased it ever so briefly when we were at the beginning here, but that's offense. I want defense real quick. So the Eagles, like, they're 5-1. Okay, they are a good team, but for as touted as their defense was coming into the season, which that was, no one expected much regression out of Jalen Hurts that side of the football, which somewhat ironically, I won't say they've regressed, but they have
a little bit.
Yeah, they have a little bit. But on the defensive side of the ball is where I've been interested to see how things have gone, because they had so many guys come on that side of the ball. The talent is undeniable, but they're effectively average through 6 weeks of the season, and to boot, they're bottom 5 in explosive rate allowed. And what do the Dolphins do best? Generate explosives, So this is going to be a matchup. I think we're going to finally see, to an extent, how good that defense is and how good collectively this Dolphins offense is as well. So that's the matchup. That's the match I'm incredibly excited for. I cannot wait.
Yeah, but I think, to your point, the big tape that's important is the Bills tape on how to slow that offense down, and they were able to do that. And I think you do that through pressure. And I think that, to your point, that is where the Eagles' strength is. Now, we talked about this in our season preview. What did the Eagles do in the offseason? They lost both their offensive and defensive coordinators. That'll screw you up. And they lost like their whole secondary. They all lost those guys to free agency. So I'm not surprised here to see a little bit of regression, or at least not insane dominance. And then the third kind of part of that is then also they had an insanely easy schedule last year. They've had to play a little bit harder of a schedule. So I don't know. I mean, you got to remember, too, the model is also using a 15-game rolling average on these stats. So it is blending a little bit of who the Eagles are today, but also who they were last year. And to your point, maybe it's picking it up. But on the other side of that, it's deflating the Miami numbers, right? It's, are they as good, and can they be as good as they are this year? Maybe, but they're probably somewhere in the middle. And we have the one Bills defensive game that maybe is good tape on how to slow them down. That would be my only. It's not even a counter argument. I think, to your point, it will be interesting to see how both these teams navigate it. I think this is a big win for the Fins. If they can figure out how to keep that potent offense against a good defense, or what we think could be a good defense, then that's a big thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this game definitely scares the shit out of me. Just like the Bills being favored over the Dolphins did. And again, like you said, we saw how that worked out, and we saw that there's a blueprint that does exist for slowing this team down. And so, I do feel a lot more comfortable. Maybe it's because I, lack of self-confidence, like lack of self-belief that other people are validating me externally, i.e. the market, that this is going the right way. But yeah, no, this is one of the ones where, I feel if the Bills win this game, or excuse me, if the Dolphins win this game, I feel like, oh man, I was so scared. That thing scared me and my gut was right. And if the Eagles cover this game, like, yeah, listen, this is why we have a model. We're so smart and this and that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those ones where like I could not see myself betting the side without the model influence here. But again, we'll see how this plays out. Said the same thing against the Bills, and we saw how that turned out.
But this is a buy low spot, right? This is exactly a mental model. Does not want to buy a team that just got their butts whooped. We're in a team that they don't, usually lose against. And on the other side of that, a team that's smoking hot, just can't be stopped. But the big caveat there is this Eagles offense can score too. We've seen it, especially again. We saw it against the teams like Tampa Bay. The Fins. Yes, one of the best offenses, the best offense this season. Their defense is average at best. So, right, do we end up just seeing a shootout? And 3-point spread in that and at home is a fine way here. So I think the more you analyze the angles here, mental model makes it feel uncomfortable, but I think there's a lot more ways that the Eagles kind of have, exactly what we're saying, a field goal advantage.
Yeah. Okay. So that's week 7. It's going to be a good weekend. Could be a big weekend. So real quick, let's just touch on a quick update. I know that says through week 4, but it's through week 6 here. I don't fully disagree with you from earlier, Steve, but I don't think the Browns situation is fully dead, but it's on life support. I'll give you that. And then
how is it on life support after they just had their biggest win of the season? You guys are wild.
If
listen.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah. Okay.
The reason why
the Browns have definitely logged their way. Yeah. The Browns. Yeah. No. Now I'm wrong.
Now I'm listening.
Yeah. Listen. The Browns won that game. Absolutely. They won a game they had no business winning. And I'll give all the credit in the world to the defense, right? But this is a team who they will only go as far as their offense will take them. Their defense can only win them so many games. We saw the Steelers win a game with their defense against us, ironically, with that 2-touchdown performance, right? That is not how you win games in today's NFL. And until Deshaun can get it together, which I don't think he will, unless DTR or PJ Walker has a miraculous kind of turnaround, Brock Purdy-esque season, this is going to be a waste of a very elite defense and a very good Browns defense in 2 out of 3 phases of the ball. And that's why I'm low on this. I'm sorry.
Damn. I guess I don't disagree with anything you said. We haven't seen that much Deshaun yet. Like if he gets healthy, like we could. I don't know. I'm not selling this ticket. I'm not cashing it out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for what it's with, aside from the Texans unders, which looks like it might be a long shot given their progression, and CJ Stroud seems to be the one rookie who's not hit a rookie wall, probably rookie of the year. Right?
And we said this. One will do bad, one will do good. Yeah. Like it's an average. Like we also said, take the tails, do really well or do really bad. What do you know? Right. One is doing really well and one is doing really bad.
Yeah, exactly right. So feel good about the unders through 6 weeks, and the overs. Yeah, those will be sweats. Those will be sweats, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's that's the name of the game. You just need momentum. I will say there's some pretty interesting analysis that Robbie did in NFELO. Like he was saying, like the negative variance for the Vikings is like insanely. Like it's like so far the other way. It's too far now. Like it's beyond like just variance now. Like they're just like extremely unlucky. And they should have won. I think his analysis said they should have at least won 5 games, which is pretty interesting. Wow. So I don't know. I mean, that's what happens though when you have literally everything go right for you. Yeah. Like variance is a real thing, and things can go very wrong very quick. So, and we saw it last week. Like. Jefferson out, but there are still those are the times to buy low, and a model is going to pick that up way more. Like when it sees like, yeah, this number makes no sense. This team is a little bit better than what the market is. It's going to tell us to do that, and we were able to make some money. So as long as we're making money off these spots, like the futures model, yeah, I mean we want to win more than we want to make profit on these, and I think we still will, but we're not going to go 8-0.
Right. Well, that's really interesting too, because the Vikings were 11-0 in 1-score games last year, and this year they're 0-4. So yeah. I don't know the math behind that, but I'm wondering like how far. So I mean, not that they would go 0-11, right? But really, how far is too far here? Because that is pretty impressive. It's really impressive.
Yeah, no, I know. Variance.
All right. Variance 101. What can you say? Yeah, and hopefully we continue to be on the right side of it with respect to the Vikings. So yeah, all good. 6 weeks in. All right, it's been fun so far. We got talked about a lot of good matchups. I don't know I haven't placed any other bets this week yet. Prop lines will come out for another day or so for the weekend games. So as it sits right now, anything else you guys are eyeballing that you might get some Action Jackson down? Any games outside of the model?
No, I just the variance is coming for us, and I'm just really curious on how it comes to us. Does it come? We go 50% a couple weeks. But we're not going to win 63% or 62%, whatever the model is right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious to see how it ends up. Like this little lull we're in is, to me, where potentially we may hit a hiccup, only because we're hokey pokey. We're like less than halfway in the data set of this season and last season. And like a team like Houston is a good example where like last season's maybe so off that it's punishing them too much. So we're going to be betting against them, or more frankly, not on them. And I don't know. I'm just curious to see how variance comes back to us, because we won't win 62%. We won't. The model is good. I have full faith in this. I'm betting these games all my money. It will not win 62%. Like, it just won't. I mean, that is what I mean, unless we can be the 2022 Vikings, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Well, until that happens, maybe that'll be our nickname. We're the 2022 Vikings. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Seth, like, this is not something anyone has delusions of grandeur about, right? Like, no one has ever claimed nor will claim to be winning at this clip consistently. We talk about the expectations of the model. I think our board members know that and everything, and hopefully people who follow us know that as well. But
bankroll management.
Appreciate everyone. Bankroll management, baby. Yeah. Appreciate everyone tuning in this week. That is going to do it for us. Please remember, if you're still around and you liked what you heard, we do this every single week, both for NFL and college. We also have a new series coming out where we talk with some good people, some really insightful people in the sports betting and sports analytics world. So very much looking forward to that. It's called Odds on Insights on YouTube. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. It helps out this page tremendously. And we are going to continue to bring you guys everything that you want and more. So, boys, that'll do it for us. Until next week, this board meeting's adjourned.